When I first moved to my sprawling ranch, I thought I had finally found peace. Rolling hills, wide open skies, and absolute privacy. It was everything I'd ever dreamed of. My neighbors, a modest little suburban neighborhood tucked at the edge of my property, seemed like friendly enough people. But I had no idea that those neat rows of cookie-cutter houses would soon become the epicenter of one of the most absurd conflicts of my life. It all began one bright morning with a letter slid under my gate. The HOA demanded I sell my ranch to them. First, I laughed, thinking it was a prank. Surely, no one could genuinely believe they had any legal claim over my hundreds of acres. But the letter was real, official-looking, typed on HOA letterhead, complete with their crest at the top. They argued, with all the bureaucratic bravado they could muster, that my land was essential to the integrity of the community, and that I must sell immediately for the benefit of the neighborhood. The letter outlined a series of threats: fines, legal action, and even potential liens if I refused. They claimed my ranch was disrupting the aesthetic of the community and that my non-compliance was creating a liability for the homeowners. I couldn't stop laughing. I had been careful to purchase my property with every legal safeguard, surveying every boundary and confirming every deed. It was impossible for them to have any legitimate claim. Curiosity got the better of me, though. I dug through the public records just to double-check. To my absolute astonishment, not only did I own the ranch, but I also legally owned the land beneath their entire little neighborhood. Every street, every house, every patch of lawn, they were all technically sitting on my property. The irony was delicious. The people threatening to take my land for the good of the community didn't even realize they were standing on my deed. Armed with this knowledge, I sent a polite response back. I explained the boundaries, referenced the deed numbers, and reminded them that any further harassment could lead to legal consequences. The letter was calm, factual, and polite, but the subtext was clear. They were the ones trespassing. The HOA's reaction was priceless. Their confident, self-important letters suddenly turned into stammering inquiries. They asked if I was willing to negotiate and tried to set up meetings to discuss community solutions. I decided to attend, just for the spectacle. I walked into their HOA meeting, dressed in dusty jeans and cowboy boots, completely out of place among the neatly pressed suits and clipped fingernails. I watched their jaws drop as I outlined with complete documentation that I owned everything. Yes, their homes included. They sat in stunned silence while I calmly explained that any attempt to enforce fines or force a sale would be, legally speaking, laughable. The meeting ended with a flurry of whispers and hushed phone calls. By the time I left, I realized something remarkable. I didn't just win a battle. I had completely reversed the power dynamic. The HOA had demanded I sell my ranch, but in reality, they had been standing on my land all along, demanding concessions from the rightful owner. From that day forward, I made one thing very clear. My ranch was my sanctuary, and my property rights were absolute. I didn't just keep the land. I had effectively gained complete control over the neighborhood that had once tried to intimidate me. And whenever they looked across the street at the rolling hills and sprawling barns, I could see the realization dawning in their eyes. The tables had turned. It was the beginning of a long, strange saga. That single letter demanding I sell my ranch would spark decades of increasingly absurd conflicts with the HOA, each one more ridiculous than the last. But for now, I leaned back on my porch, sipped my coffee, and enjoyed the quiet satisfaction of owning not just a ranch, but the irony of an entire neighborhood completely under my control.